Hello, Froggy here. We've been spending all season climbing up the inside of Savathun Spire, but today we'll be climbing up the outside of it. It turns out that the Spire was added to the skybox inside of Savathun's throne world. You can even see it from the Vow of the Disciple raid, but only from Miasma. So let's go check that out. We're going to be using an Autorez, but I want to avoid the sparrow trickery I've done in previous videos. Turns out we can do it a bit easier now. You're going to want to proceed through the raid. Luckily this part can be done solo pretty easily because there is no darkness zones. You can just throw guardians at the problem until the problem is solved. Anyways, you want to proceed until you get to about this point, and the door opens. Previously at this point we would be unable to easily go back into Miasma, but for some reason that's changed. Just going to zip back to the beginning now. I'm pretty sure in the past, once everyone left Miasma, the door would be reclosed. But I guess it just opens now. So that's pretty handy. Now we can get on with the route. So at this point we don't yet need to involve anyone else, but we are going to be doing an IRB, so you'll want to have a buddy on standby. The spot that I've been using is one of these kind of hills with a tree on it. If you choose one too close, you'll still be in box. This one? No, I think it's one further back. Yeah, this looks about right. It's not too big of a deal if you get the wrong one. Most of them will work. There's also plenty of other spots you can use, but this is the one that I use, so I'll show you that. With our IRB points set, it's time to get out of map. Along with that door being opened, for some reason the green barriers that would normally block this path are simply gone. That means we don't have to do the annoying sparrow breach by the lost sector, and instead we can just walk over here and jump out of the map. Witch's Echo is still coming quite in handy for getting out of map here, if a bit more direct than it normally would be. You may recognize this next part from back when people were getting into the raid early. We're just going to take a few swings out to the side, and then turn towards the gate. Keep in mind that if you die at any point until we hit the death to load, you'll need to go back and set up your IRB point again. There's a bunch of handy ledges that we can jump on. If you find yourself falling, I would recommend pulling out your sparrow to do some sparrow flying. We're going to be using a fair bit of that coming up, although you can probably substitute grapple flying. It'll just take a lot longer. So we need to get back into Bog, which you can do by just jumping out a little ways. Then you'll want to turn around and head back. We need to die to the Miasma load, so we have to get around back of it. I think we can avoid a bit of sparrow flying if we come back here and jump up top. And that was solid. Oh well. Gonna have to pull out the sparrow sometime anyways. Going to want to make your way out to the side of the structure. There's plenty of little areas to jump on out here. The load zone is a little bit past this pole, but we don't want to actually hit it. It's going to drop down to about the depth of that bit of land and go a little bit past it. Now I gotta go back up. You could just do this with sword flying if you want, but I didn't want to expend the ammo. And hit the load right against that rock. I would recommend not swinging into it like I did there, but luckily this is very retryable. Just going to duck underneath this and hopefully grab that ledge. I didn't quite there, but just takes a little bit of sparrow flying and we're back on track. Just the same deal, jumping out a little bit and then going back. This time I'm not going to try to be fancy and just gonna go direct. You could substitute a bit of grappling here for using the sparrow. But once again, sparrows are definitely going to make the rest of this a lot nicer. Let's give this another shot. Be a little annoying with all the fog, but it's not too bad. I would line up with the beginning of this bit of rock and try to hug it as you hit the load. Here we've already got someone out of box, so I just gotta wait for Elite to res me and I'm good to go. For the initial IRB, you're going to want to have a buddy approach first encounter. As soon as they reach the door and it starts to open, you'll trigger the Autorez. Now that we're out, let's get to exploring. The first thing you'll want to do is get some height. It would be a shame to accidentally re-enter the box just as soon as we've broken out. Oh, looks like we've got company. Adelaide managed to IRB into a different location. There are, after all, many ways you can do this. Just thought I'd drop down onto this very strange looking solid water. And we've got a new member to the party. Let's get back on track. The flight gives us a fairly nice view of the terrain of the Throne World. So I would take the time to appreciate the surroundings. See the weird mountains off in the distance. And the various beams of light. We'll be going above a fair bit of that in a bit. But first we have some stuff to check out in the right below. Kind of surprisingly, everything down here is solid for the most part. At least until we get over to the central Spire area. That's not solid, but you can reach it. And I think the next one as well. Although, beyond that, you're gonna hit the true edge. This stuff up here is solid as well. Although I guess you can't see where it actually begins from here. Let's go over to the side. There we go. Throne World is full of trickery after all. That thing is solid. And so is this kind of runway in front of us. It is a long flight to the top, so enjoy these last brief moments touching the ground, because we won't be doing that for quite a while. It is a long flight to the top, so I figure while we do that, might as well throw on some appropriate music. And I guess we might as well check out the bell before we go. It is a pretty nice landmark. Believe it or not, we were probably only halfway to the true ceiling. So after we're done looking at this bell, I figure I'll show you what that looks like. This isn't even the top, but it is where I got my last real good view of the floor. And here's the true edge, and a clip of what it looked like from the ground.
Feels like it's staying forever.
Oh!
Oh, there it is.
There it is.